All right. Why you laugh when I smile?
It was because you did.
It was like KD at the free throw line. I had to make sure everything was set. Oh,
Shake it
Nick is
out.
going to get started. Okay. We'll wait for him to sit back down before we. There we go. He's back. He's back. All right. Welcome to episode 97 of the Balance Period podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us. This is our first guest in a very long time, so we're excited to have some different energy into the show. So before I introduce him, I'm going to introduce myself. As you all know, I am Recovery Ray, one of your hosts of this podcast, and the other host is. Go ahead, Nick.
Pranayanic, like normal.
Like normal, right? Of course. So the guests that we have, I said they were special guests. They are why. One, because they're family, and I think that just kind of caps it there. He's family, and we have done work together in the past, and I'm excited to have him on this platform to be able to share with you all what he spends his time doing because it is powerful. So I would like to introduce Jacques Achille to the show. Jacques, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Excited to be here with you guys. This is going to be fun.
Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, share with the people a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. So it's interesting, like trying to narrow down what it is I actually do, just because, I mean, I'll be talking about a few different projects that I contribute to. And just like kind of to frame it, I guess we can kind of just jump into it. Like the projects are really, they're going to be open source projects, so anyone can contribute in their own way. And I'm really just going to be talking about this through my own perspective. So everything I say, it's not on behalf of the project even. It's just how I think about it based on how I've been contributing. So and I guess it's convenient because if I'm explaining what I do, I'm just like, my interests are extremely, extremely broad. Like the things I'm passionate about, it's just about experiencing reality from different perspectives to just deepen my understanding and my overall appreciation for life. So it's whether it's science and religion, technology and art, like even my background. I mean, I'm a civil engineer from college and I worked in construction management for a while, but now I'm like tutoring like a first and second grader and I'm a graphic designer. So that's not exactly, and it's it's different ends of the spectrum there.
Right.
Like I like being a hermit, but I like partying with my friends. I'm just interested in a lot of different things.
Right.
So I don't know. Do you kind of want to chill there? Or do you want me to kind of just roll into it? How does this
Yeah, let's
work for you
let's
guys?
go into just start talking about our norm. Just
Okay.
go right
Yeah,
into it.
absolutely. Yeah. And so like I think the best way to start talking about our norm is just for me to, I guess I'll just keep diving down into my interests and how it kind of all falls into place. So
For sure.
yeah, as much as I liked having different interests in so many different fields, it always felt like I had a lack of focus, until a few years ago when I discovered the term polymath. And so a polymath it's essentially someone who allows themselves to learn from different interests to gain a unique perspective that they can use to creatively solve problems, come up with different creative solutions. We live in a society that desperately wants people to specialize and stay in their lane, but that can also make people feel like it's not their place to comment on subjects that don't fall in line with their predefined path. So I personally think that leads to a lot of blind trust in a lot of different aspects where people are like, let's just trust the experts in health. Let's trust the experts in construction management, all these different things, when, I mean, it leaves a lot of people susceptible to just being controlled and influenced in a lot of different ways. But I think people are a lot more capable of that. People can think about themselves in different ways to really broaden their perspective. So I'm interested in breaking down that paradigm of specialization to help people realize that each one of us is a polymath. So yeah, with all the projects that we're working on, we're interested in helping people develop their potential as a polymath. So and with the strongest focus is going to be on gaining a deeper understanding of their ego. Without diving in a whole discussion about what ego is, I just mean like people's affinity to identify with their thoughts to the point where they see themselves as something separate. You know, it's like tribalism, and just like it keeps people separated and disconnected from the big picture. And from my perspective, the big picture is that like the planet, this is a little out there, the planet is like an organism that we're all a part of. You can think of each of us as like a super sophisticated cell within this larger organism. And that's really the basis of everything that we're working on. So as people develop as a polymath in different ways and they better understand their ego, we really want to help starting people to think about the whole concept of as within, so without. You know, so like that's, as I see it, that's like one of the biggest expressions of having a well understood ego. It's like you don't have to lose yourself. You just have to understand that everything you're learning about yourself is reflected externally. So as people learn about themselves through personal development, and we kind of like see how we fit into the physiology of the planet, how can we really apply those same lessons for ourselves to society as a whole? And, you know, like it goes back to the fact that everyone always says like, oh, I just want to feel like I'm a part of something bigger than myself. But like the whole thing is, if you were born, if you're here, like you already are, you're already a part of it. So it's just a matter of working through the steps, working through the process to see how you can define your own place in the world.
Wow.
So that's really like the essence of what I'm personally interested in, whether it's working on our norm or anything else, it doesn't matter. Like, that's just like, that's what I kind of want to bring out in people. So, again, it's experiencing reality from as many perspectives as possible and then apply them on a collective scale so we can all deepen our understanding and appreciate life together. It's just like there's no reason the world can't just be one giant festival all the time, just learning and celebrating, you know? So, and that's all well and good, right? But like, how do we actually want to put that in practice? So to make things more tangible, and our first projects that are really meant to represent the different aspects of the planet's physiology, it's something that we're calling planetary physiology. So returning the planet, we want to start thinking about the planet as something that we're calling Q3. So Q3, it's just HU3, which is just like a short form for saying that we're working towards humanity 3.0. So Q3 is really the aspect of it. Our norm has been out there for a long time. It's kind of like where all this started to like formulate, but it started to take shape more that like Q3 is going to be how we create a one-to-one comparison between a human being and the planet. So we can get back to that as within, so without. How do we create that relation so people can actually see themselves fitting in as we work towards becoming more polymaths? So within Q3, I'm just gonna like, there's like, I mean, think about like how many different aspects there are to a human body. There's essentially going to be that many different aspects to Q3. So like, instead of going into all that, I just want to focus on kind of like the first 4 fundamental projects that we're going to be focused on to give a sense of how it's going to be structured. So really like the basis of this, why we started talking, our norm is really where all of this started. And you could think of within the planet's physiology, within Q3, our norm is the right brain of Q3. So it's like the right brain of the planet. It's the creative, the divine feminine aspect of the planet. And it's, again, a more intangible way. It's like an open source project where people are able to use their creativity to define a collective mission for where we want humanity to focus our development, our collective personal development. So everything you see, like that's really like where the graphic design aspect really comes in. It's like, okay, online, we're creating a lot of memes and all this stuff that are like, they're funny, but like we want to start creating memes that are a little bit more intentional. So like, let's create memes that have proper grammar and are designed well, that can really stand out to people and also help them walk away just like kind of thinking about the world a little bit differently. So with our norm, it's really like for every aspect that we have going on, our norm can kind of be seen as the creative agency for the planet in a sense, and how we're actually going about this in Q3. So we want to the fact that it's open source, if there's any brand out there that wants to come through and be like, okay, we kind of want to shift things around, I kind of want to see how we fit into this whole thing, and our norm would be there to kind of like work with whoever that is to kind of like take it and integrate it into like this shared narrative that we're trying to build. So that's all well and good. Like a lot of times people are like, okay, well, it looks pretty, it's nice little designs, but how do you really make that even more tangible? Mm-hmm. And that's really where like the left brain of Hue 3 comes in. So like the analytical or the divine masculine of it is going to be something that we just kind of announced yesterday in a small way, is going to be called Our Collective Network. And with that, it's going to be an open source education platform. And it's meant to just teach people how to turn the mission that we define with our norm into real world projects that help push humanity closer and closer towards this shared vision that we're trying to create. And the initial focus that we have is we're going to be creating free resources for people to better understand like blockchain technology. There are a lot of underserved areas that are potentially going to be left behind with this huge, massive shift in how our entire civilization is structured. There's no point really diving into it. There's plenty of resources to get a sense of what blockchain technology is. And a lot of people think about it through the lens of currency, like Bitcoin and all that. But we're thinking about it in the sense of how is society structured and how does the concepts of blockchain technology fit in to make it a society with less ego attachment. So, I guess I will touch on it a little bit. So like with the way the world is structured right now, it's very much like centralized. Our institutions are the center of everything we do. And that's why in the bio for our norm, we say that institutions are the planet's ego. So like there's a centralized focus. Everything needs to go through a central point in order for us to move forward. But with blockchain technology and the fact that it's decentralized, I mean, think about Napster back in the day when people were downloading music and funny videos from each other. That's like the foundation of what blockchain technology is. It's peer-to-peer. It's just like everyone has a say in how things are done. It's open source, which is how we're trying to formulate this whole project. But that's really the point of it. So blockchain technology it's going to be transforming a lot of businesses in a lot of ways that we don't even realize yet. Well, like way beyond like the finance industry. And there's a lot of people, it's a very, very highly demanded skill. And it's not just like for coders. So if we can get people like that are in underserved areas that don't necessarily think they can go to college or they can do so many different things, but they're so talented because they're a human being like this. We want this to be a way for people to come in, learn about it. So like if you're a designer, you can be in you can get into the blockchain space. If you're in so many different areas, it's just like, again, and it's when we think about blockchain, it's kind of going to be like the neural network of Hue 3. So you can think of it as like the nervous system of Hue 3 as we still tie it back to like this planetary physiology. Went on a tangent with that more than I wanted to, but I'm really excited about it because I see that as being kind of like an open source incubator where people will just come in with an idea and just like pop it off and people will be sharing stuff and then you'll like all over the planet. The idea is just like people are just creating ideas all over the place and just like it's formulating, we're transforming how the government works from the inside out. We're transforming how like the real estate industry works from the inside out. And that's really like with our collective network, it takes like that, the feminine creative aspect of our norm, and it pushes it in a very tangible and real way with technology to kind of like help transform humanity into being a little bit more conscious, but also like kind of playing by the rules and saying like, yeah, we live in a capitalistic society. We're not trying to overthrow everything, but let's just try and transform things in a way that makes sense and it's supportive of people and the planet. So yeah, that's kind of like, so like the left brain is our collective network, right brain is our norm. And then like with that in place, like one of the most important things that we see is just, I mean, I know that you guys will appreciate this, is 3 breaths at 3. So we see that as really the diaphragm of Hue 3. So it's a simple daily practice that was largely inspired by Balanced Period's practice of observing 5 breaths. Like just even posting that on your like Instagram story, just telling people to pause, take 5 breaths. It just like it makes a lot of sense. And so with 3 at 3, we kind of wanted to coordinate it into a way for the planet to adopt a collective meditation practice. So that is like at 3 p.m. local around the planet. So wherever you are on the planet, if it's 3 p.m., all you have to do is notice 3 breaths and think about some things that they love about life. So it's an amazing daily practice that a lot of people are already starting to adopt, and it's super simple. And it's like every day I'm like, I end up just, however crazy my day is, once my like super gentle alarm goes off at 3 p.m., I usually end up thinking about my family or my girlfriend, and it's just like, it makes me feel really good. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, and like it's something really simple. Instead of like preaching to people about how great meditation is and why they should do it, like not trying to get people to sit down for 20 minutes a day and all that. It's just like, just take a few breaths, like I'm preaching to the choir right here, obviously. So really, in like, again, always want to make sure I'm making it more tangible. Like on our end with 3 breaths at 3, we're just creating content that's meant to represent the future of advertising. Because right now we think advertising really promotes a very large sense of lack. Advertising is built on the basis of you aren't enough. So like, look at these products, look at this new thing. And if you have this new thing, you will become whole. And with 3 breaths at 3, we want companies and everyone to come in and sponsor these. And when they do that, it's going to be the companies saying to their audience, you already have everything you need. Just notice 3 breaths, think about what you love, and then that's it. And then through that, when we have corporate sponsorships coming in to like sponsor 3 at 3 posts, that is going to be going into cleaning the oceans, hopefully getting ocean plastic out, and also reforestation efforts. Because again, if we're thinking about the planet as an organism, those aspects are like you could think of it as like the gut health of Q3. So like we have all of this like just like muck that's like running through us. Like we're kind of like pulling out essential organs from our body, just cutting down the forest for like short gain, and we're dumping, like we're just eating it's essentially like with the planet putting a bunch of plastic into the ocean. It's the same as a person just consuming a ton of sugar. Like it has a very bad, it messes with your microbiome, and we're messing with the macrobiome of the planet. So it's like it's kind of getting that in mind. So like 3 breaths at 3, it's a very simple practice, but the larger goal is to really help people understand how advertising affects their brain, and also understand how the constant drive of consumerism is driving us to kind of like destroy the aspects that allow our civilization to exist in the first place. So it's like, it's a simple practice, but there's a lot more that's kind of wrapped up into it, you know? So, so like, those are like kind of like the first 3 aspects that we're really focused on. There's more that I'm really, really excited about, but we can talk about those later. It's not like it's a secret. We already posted about it on our norm, but it's just for the sake of this, I think it makes sense to keep it a little simpler. But the common thread between all of those, and really between everything we do with Q3, is it's what we're calling the Polymath process. And you can see the Polymath process as the DNA of Q3. It's the DNA of this future version of, not future version, it's like the next version of humanity that we're creating right now. So it's like the Polymath process, it's a 7-phase process that's meant to represent, I mean, as much as we can, the full spectrum of reality. So people understand how to optimize their own life and the life of the planet, so that we can ultimately create whatever we want. So like I can create whatever lifestyle I want. And then as I do that, I can like plug into this global system that we've got of just like people figuring stuff out. And we can all create like a collective society that we're all cool with. So it's really broad. The polymath process is really broad. It takes you from learning about the planet, learning about yourself, learning about meditation, creativity, learning about like how society is structured, how you define your reality, whether it's religion or science or just however you want to define your reality. It's all up to you. And then ultimately, it's like the apex of it is how we define our collective narrative. But like the fact that it's so broad, we're never going to come in and say, this is how it needs to be done. It's like, these are the areas. And then we're expecting different people and organizations to come together and say, okay, if this is open source, this is what our organization does. And this is how we think we really amplify the polymath process, which when you were telling me about the Balance Blueprint Journal, it got me so excited because it's a 7-point process. And I'm like, of course it is. Of course it is. But like that is really the essence of it. Is like, okay, the polymath process is super open, but then as we like, it'd be really cool to work with you guys and say, okay, how does like the Balance Blueprint, what are you guys really focused on? And I mean, and everything you guys do, it's very clear that you're focused on like personal development. So like there's one aspect that's really just focused on how a person can optimize their own body, and that's their physical, emotional, and mental health. So I see so many different aspects that you're doing. You guys injecting your energy into that aspect would help make the polymath process that much stronger. And it would also just give another avenue for people to discover what you're doing. And then obviously also with 3 Breaths at 3 is its own other kind of pillar in this as well. So the breath work and all of that. But again, the fact that we're all polymaths, Balance Period is a polymath organization. So there's going to be so many different ways that you guys extend to all 7 pillars, I'm sure. So we're not going to create specific resources, but it's all meant for us to be able to plug in, discover our own way. Every person is really the center of the polymath process. They're the center of the universe. Every person is. And then as they work through it, they can work through it as many times as they want, and they'll just keep evolving and changing. And then we'll be doing the same thing with society. That's the goal, at least. But so yeah, in so many words, I could use a lot more, but that's really the crux of what we're trying to do. And again, there's like, I talked about the left brain, right brain, the diaphragm, but there's also like, there's a third eye aspect, which is going to be like this graphic novel that we create to kind of represent all this in a really creative and musical, artistic way, which is that's what I'm most excited about. But we can talk about that another time. But
I personally love musicals, so
yeah,
I would love to be a part of that. Even though I can't sing, I would love to be a part of it.
Yeah. I just found this really cool. Like, what is it called? Spotify just created this new app. I don't know if it's new, but it's like a way for people to collaborate with music production. So one person can be recording music.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Other people can make beats, and I downloaded it. I haven't really dove into it yet, but there's just stuff like that where people will be able to just learn whatever they're interested in. Whether it's not graphic design, it's not construction management, but it's something that sounds cool. And I'm not going to be the next big DJ, but I can still make some beats for myself, and I think that's more than anything. That's just what I want people to realize, is that like, we get to live once, right? So it's not like you get to like, you have to be the best at something. You just have to be the best at being you. And if that's you messing around and making terrible music, that's fine, but it can still be fun for you to do. And that's very much what I anticipate for myself in that sense.
Yeah, man, I agree. Yeah, I think we tend to limit our possibilities by, like you were saying, right, trying to be the best at something. And in that case, most times people believe things about themselves that they heard from someone else say when they were children, but that has like limited their creativity as adults because they heard when they were in grade school that a piece of art that they made was garbage, and they're like, I'm not artistic at all. So now anything creative triggers a response of like, oh no, I can't do that. I'm not this. Just like me, I just said I can't sing. That doesn't even make sense, right?
You can talk, you can sing.
right. So it's recognizing that, sometimes we hold ourselves back from opportunities to be who we are, to be creative, to be polymaths, because you know, from things that we've experienced in the past. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing all of that. I didn't even know that all of that was a part of what you've been creating up until now. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Can you dive a little deeper into your personal journey? Like, how did you get to where you are today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I would say, I mean, it really extends all the way back to just like my childhood. My parents, your aunt and uncle, I mean, they had such I mean, I think it's really interesting. Again, this is just through my perspective, but like even like the way that I think is very much shaped by how my parents are. They're both very, very smart, but my mom she's so creative. She's always creating, like, so like as kids we always had arts and crafts everywhere. I feel like everywhere walking around the house there was just new stuff for us to like experiment with and do. And my dad is he's a mechanical engineer, so I just remember sitting down and just watching him for like an hour. I was just like staring. I felt it's like burned into my memory, just like him writing down, like sketching out plans, sitting in the kitchen and like mapping out how he was going to create this huge skylight. And just like, how is he doing that? And then like he opened up the ceiling and I'm just like watching him do it and framing it all up and making it all happen. And then it was done. I'm just like mind blown. So like my entire life, it's just been like that balance of creativity, like that feminine creative energy and the masculine analytical, like just like drive to execute, that has kind of shaped me in this way. And like, I was kind of all over the place as a kid. I was like, in any other family, like I would have been just seen as like a feral child, just running around like a madman. Like, but I just think that like my parents were very patient, and they allowed me to grow, and they kept me distracted and focused in different ways. Like my mom was always just telling me to stay focused over and over and over and over again. And just, I don't know, like my brother and sister, like they were just super, I don't know, just like I'm the youngest, right? So I feel like I was born into a family. Like I have an older brother, and it's like he was never picking on me or anything. Like he's only 2 years older, so like we were always just like playing and growing together. My sister is just like super nurturing and kind, and like just, I don't know. It's just like I was very fortunate being able to grow up. I was like brought into the world in a very supportive environment. So like literally everything that I'm doing now is a direct result of that. And so like as I grew up and going to school, I went to school for civil engineering. That was even after I switched from material science engineering. And I don't know, there's a lot that goes into it, but I think ultimately it's just after I graduated from college, I had a job. It was my dream job, dream company. And I was like, I'm going to retire from here. That was like me fulfilling my specialist role. Like you go to school, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, and you retire, and then you die. But like that was like that. I was like right when I graduated and I had my job right at graduation, I was like, my life's figured out. This is it. But then as I was working, it was like a really cool project that I was working on. It was exactly what I wanted, but I started getting so burnt out. I was working 14-hour days, just like the girl I was dating at the time. I remember she visited and she looked at me. She's like, "You look terrible." Like, cause I was like, the life was like drained out of me. And really like after going through that for a while and starting to like realize how much it was wearing me out, I just decided to go to Haiti for a week. I didn't really tell anyone I was going. I just Googled Haiti volunteering. And that was really inspired by the fact that like I have a couple really close friends. Like we went to Tokyo on a whim, and as we were going, I was on my phone just like, this is so cool. I can't believe we're doing this right now. Like I just want to volunteer. I want to experience so many different things in life. Like I can't just keep settling for X, Y, and Z. So that was really one of the first big catalysts that made me realize I needed to start kind of just turning my life into more of an adventure.
That's awesome.
So me going to Haiti and just seeing perspective, obviously, like I don't know if it's well known, but like obviously we're all Haitian.
We're Haitian, yeah.
On our dad's sides. But so like it was my first time being in Haiti, so it was like it's very, I don't know, very impactful, like on my soul. Just like seeing where like one part of me came from, and just seeing the people that were there, and just like kind of getting out of my frat boy college mentality of like, you know, I'm doing this as a bucket list item, it'll be cool to do. And just like when I was down there, I was kind of like rocked, and my perspective was just so radically shifted of just like how I felt that I should be living my life at that point. So it's just like, okay, I love partying with my friends. I like having a good time. I like goofing around, but also like this stuff is happening like all the time. And there's like, it was a crapshoot that I was born in Bloomingdale, Illinois. Right. I could have easily been born there. I could have been born in Afghanistan, in like war zones in Iraq. Like you could be born anywhere. Like and the fact that I was just fortunate enough to be born where I was in a very loving and supportive family, I'm super grateful of that, and I don't feel bad about it. But the fact that I was born into that privilege, I feel like it's, in some sense, it's kind of became a responsibility of mine to just see how I can help people that are in a worse situation, just like a situation where they don't have basic human needs, you know. Like it's interesting, like even just saying worse situation, a lot of like the people that I saw there, like seeing how they actually were, like the way that they interacted with one another, it was so much more genuine and authentic. They were just like, they lived with more authenticity than a lot of people do here. So even though we have roofs over our head, we have running water, we have food that we always have, there's other ways that we are very, very lacking. In some ways, it's the most important ways. So it's like, there were so many different things when I was there, just learning. I'm like, we have so much to learn from different cultures, different perspectives. And the fact that we are collectively, like, there's no, like, it's not the government that's not helping people that need, it's not like corporations that are doing anything wrong. And again, if we think of ourselves being plugged into this global organism, it's all of our fault. Everyone's trying to say it's their fault. It's us versus them. It's black versus white. It's up and down. It's north, like all of that. It's not, it's all just like all of those different perspectives are a part of the whole. And if you're trying to say someone else is wrong, that's just a different aspect of yourself. So like with all of this, trying to get that ego awareness out there, and without just making it be like a new agey thing, like, oh, all of this, like, no, like we have tangible, we're going to be making projects showing how this works. That's really like, that was a catalyst. So like, it was just like there were a lot of us that went down there, that like me and friends that all went down to Haiti together. And like, we kind of all started talking about this and forming it together. So it's great because like this idea is a culmination of multiple people doing it. There's not really like a singular founder of it. There's like, it's meant to just kind of be like this thing that, I mean, no one behind Q3 created philanthropy. No one behind us created blockchain technology. No one behind us created design or any of this. We're just, again, we're discovering ourselves and discovering reality in our own way. And then like, the thing is like, we want there to be 7.5 billion people that are all contributing to this. If it's really going to be something that's when we'll be like, okay, yeah, this, it's not going to be like we made it. It's going to be like, okay, now that everyone has a voice into this, this is the true perspective of the planet.
Wow. Well, it's perfect that you have 7 like pillars of it, because you can kind of fit 1 billion and some change in each one.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go. It's perfect.
No, but I'm really excited to see how everything turns out. Like, I'm really excited to be a part of this, because when you were talking about being a polymath, that was, I mean, it felt like you were describing me. I didn't even know that there was a term for it, because I was the one who did acting, modeling, tried to play basketball. I do streaming. I do all these different things. And
you were a tattoo artist too, by the way.
Oh yeah, I did do tattoo artist too for a second.
I didn't know that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But it was always like, oh, Nick, you're about to be 30. When are you going to settle down? When are you going to do this? We're doing this with life. And I'm like, do y'all not realize that there are so many things out here to do? And I can't, like, it pains me to sit and think about doing one thing consistently when there's so many other things to experience. And then we have the opportunity to be good at those things that we get to experience. And like you said, just to appreciate life, and the fact that you create, that you and the people that you're with are creating this platform, and just the ability to do this, I'm excited to see and to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just mentioning on top of what Nick was saying, I think that concept, right, of saying, like, yes, it's not that you need to consistently do one thing outside of you to validate your wholeness. But if there is one thing that you consistently do, it's paying attention to what's going on inside of you. Because by
Exactly.
doing that, that allows you to be more intentional about everything that you do outside of you. So it's like
Absolutely.
there's balance there for sure. Doesn't really
Balance.
matter. Period. But yeah, it doesn't really matter what you end up, accomplishing. Who you become is way more important than what you end up accomplishing.
Facts.
So
Right.
it's yeah,
Right.
it's thank you for expanding our awareness and our listeners' awareness to a different way of perceiving life and
Yeah,
a
man.
different
No, my
way that
pleasure.
they can contribute to this life so that they can truly be the person they want to be and create the lives that they want for themselves. So one of the things that we offer up each episode is a habit. And we like to make sure that these habits are simple and that these habits are sustainable because we want them to be something that people can do and will do today, tomorrow, and however long they see fit to incorporate that habit into their lives. So, is
Sure.
there a simple, sustainable self care habit that you can share with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it kind of like connects all the dots, right? So it's similar to how you have your balance blueprint journal. I just think journaling is so important for people. I mean, we have our minds are all over the place all the time, and the act of writing something down and putting it in material form, like putting your actual thoughts in material form, being able to see them and interact with them, it kind of like forces you to evolve with them. And instead of just saying journaling, obviously, I think the daily practice that I really do within my journaling is to just write down my intention or my goal every single day. So it's really just writing down, like and this really comes from something called The Strangest Secret. I suggest people listen to it. It's by Earl Nightingale. There's recordings on Spotify, recordings on YouTube, wherever you want. And there's a lot of different things that he talks about throughout all of it. But it's just about like every day when I start my day, I just write out exactly what I'm working towards. And as an example, at the beginning of last year, every day I wrote down that I was going to help organize a daily meditation to help the planet chill. And now we're posting content every single day for 3 Breaths at 3. So it's not saying like, oh, just write this down and it'll just magically appear. It's like, no, it's like as you get distracted by life day to day to day, it's so easy to get pulled away from your North Star. So this is just a way of, again, just kind of imprinting it in your mind every day, in your subconscious mind. So like as you're going through your day, you'll start to see people and talk to people and be like, okay, this morning I wrote down that I'm working on this thing. And then you'll start to just see synchronicities. And I'm not saying like, I believe a lot of out there stuff, but I'm trying to make this accessible to people that just don't want to hear all the woo-woo stuff. It's like, if you write it down every day and it's front of mind, it's top of mind. So like, as you'll be going through your day, you won't be thinking about all the stuff that is going wrong in your life. You'll start to be seeking things that are going to be able to make this goal happen. So you still need to put in the work, but it's just like, it's a great way to like, again, every day, just come back and say, this is what I want to do. So even right now, I'm terrible at sleep. Like you can see, like with the way that I go about like my thought process, I think it's all over the place. And a lot of times I feel like my mind comes most alive at night, and I will easily stay up until 3 or 4 a.m. when I have to get up at 8, and I'll just like go through the next day. But I also, as I've been learning more and more about the human body, I just know that that's just so terrible for me. So like one thing that I'm working on right now, the first thing I write every day is to develop a sustainable sleep hygiene practice for myself. And I'm going to be doing it 5 days a week for 8 weeks. And if I mess up this week, whatever, I'm going to keep writing it down until I can see in my tracker that I've done it for eight weeks. So it's not like I might do it for 3 weeks and then I fall off and then I go back to it. I'm not going to like beat myself up because I don't know, we're all just trying to do the best we can. But so yeah, at the end of 8 weeks, once I do that, that's going to be pretty well ingrained in my mind. This is going to be something that I automatically do. And then at that point, I'll have another intention that I work on.
Awesome.
So that's, yeah.
So you prioritize them in 8-week chunks.
I don't. This one I did 8 weeks.
This one, okay.
Before
gotcha.
with last year, I didn't know. I was planning on doing the like last year when I was organizing a daily meditation. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I had no idea.
Gotcha.
So even then, and I really break it down into 3 chunks. Something I started doing is the immediate, like what in the short term, what's my goal is like the sleep hygiene. Like the midterm is really just I'm going to be developing. I want to develop a more sustainable way for me to earn an income as a freelancer. So like being able to apply the Polymath process to show how I can use it to learn all these different things and be able to create value for people in different ways. So it's like, how can I become a freelancer using the Polymath process? So like, that's kind of like the midterm because I need to earn a living.
Right.
Earn a living. That's an interesting term.
Interesting.
It is.
Interesting.
It is.
Why do I need to earn this? I'm already here.
We might have to say that for another time. We could
We'll
dive
talk about
it.
But also like the long term goal is just like something called the Norm Oasis that we want to create. That's like really the point of the 2020s. I think it's going to be the best decade in human history. And like the culmination of it with like this whole thing with Q3, we want to create like shared spaces, like where people can have music festivals and learn about stuff and like just like community spaces that everyone will be able to like just have festivals and celebrate life. So that's the ultimate goal. Like it's me being able to get back into construction management and create just really big, massive like societal shared spaces for us all to just enjoy life. So like that's my goal. It's to have a first Norm Oasis done by December 31st, 2029.
Awesome.
We'll see what happens. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
That's
Why
amazing.
not?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. Let everyone know how they can get in touch with you or get in touch with the work that you shared today.
Yeah, I would say the best way, just so it's pretty straightforward, is to just get in touch with our Norm. If you go to Instagram, it's at OURNORM, and that's it. You can give us a follow, check it out, and that'll be it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. I will let everyone know he's going to be back at some point in time. So this is not going to be the last time you hear from Jacques. And yeah, look out for work that we do together because there are always projects that we brainstorm about. So you'll definitely see more of us working together as time progresses. So
Oh, yes.
hopefully you all had a great time today. Nick, is there anything you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, just a reminder that you're already whole and that I'm excited for each of you to continue to enjoy your amazing journey beyond this point.
Facts. If there is anything that you found valuable from today's episode, all we ask is that you take action on it. Take action on it, implement it into your life, continue to learn, continue to grow, and be the best version of yourself each and every day. Peace.
Later.